Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Camera Life podcast. It is Thursday, the 10th of July. I can't believe how quickly July is going. 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Here we are with the Camera Life podcast, proudly brought to you by Lucky Straps from Bendigo, Victoria. And speaking of the devil, sorry, mine's in the wash. I had to take the dog to the vet yesterday, and the dog shed so much hair that my black jumper turned kind of a beige color. So.
Dang.
But yeah, we're joined by the founder of Lucky Straps.
That's me.
My good mate and co-host of the Camera Life podcast, Justin Castles. G'day.
Good morning. Good
How are
to be here. Good. I'm glad I made it. Hang on, I got to turn my light down. Everything's disheveled. I got a remote for my light, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad you can hear me because we had microphone issues all the way up to. That's why we're late.
We've had microphone issues for 6 months.
Pretty
in one form or another, one of us.
It's been chaos, but we're getting there.
But we're here.
Awesome. Good morning to Philip Johnson. Philip Johnson's always here first. Good morning,
G'day,
Philip.
Mate.
Once again, we had a misscheduled show, and Philip let us know. He's right on top of our times, which is great because this software that we use for these shows has been doing weird stuff lately, and we think it's been also misscheduling the shows.
Well, not for me, but
not for you, but for me. But Philip's been helping us, so thank you, Philip.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
LTK Photo says good afternoon. Where are you from again, LTK? Where is it that it's good afternoon?
Yeah, where are you, mate?
I remember you told us, and I've forgotten. Ian Thompson, good morning. Good to see you.
Ian. Classic.
You'll notice that it's just the two of us. We normally have a guest on Thursday morning.
Do.
But,
so
sadly,
James,
a little sick.
Yeah, James Day was going to join us, wedding photographer. And he's come down with a nasty bug and he can't join us. So we'll catch up with him down the track. We have every intention to get him back on, but for today, you're just stuck with us two.
Yeah, but that's good because that means that you guys that are listening live, you guys are going to help us run the show. We need all the help we can get from the chat this morning. Throw things at us, give us topics. What do you want to talk about? We've got some ideas. We got.
Ask us anything.
But ask us anything, give your opinions, or, I mean, if you're feeling really crazy, if you're feeling a little froggy, email me, justin@luckystraps.com.au, and come on the show.
Yeah.
I'll send you a link. Join from your phone. It's not hard. Come on.
We don't care.
If you are listening right now and you just want to get on the screen with us, email me, justin@luckystraps.com.au.
And look, for those of you that are at work and feel like you're missing out on this golden opportunity, here's my strategy for you, okay? And this has worked in the past. So fake a stomach cramp. So you're sitting at your desk, double over, go, oh, that didn't go down well. And then your colleague will turn to you and say, hey, man, what's up? And you go, oh, I ate a bad burrito last night. And I think I've just got to go to the toilet. And then run off to the loo, squatting a little bit, like holding the stomach, bent over a bit. You really got to work it. Yeah, like that. Do that face. That's Justin's about to shit himself face. Never want to see that again. And then lock yourself in a cubicle and jump on your phone and join. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Come have some fun.
Who's going to catch you? Yeah.
We're happy to talk about anything today, but we will. We got a few plans to talk about some things. We want to talk about the potential future of photography. Maybe the future of cameras. We're going to talk a little bit maybe about the OM3 that we've both been playing with for, almost a couple of months now. It's gone.
Yeah, had it for a bit. Oh, you sent it back?
Yeah, I sent it back, which is a shame because I could have held it up while we talk about it on the show, but I thought they needed it. They said other people were waiting to use it. Yeah. So anyway.
No, we had a good run.
We did have a good run. We almost kept it.
And they sent like 6 or 7 lenses with it.
Yeah, it's a good way to
pretty generous of the brand.
Yeah, they're awesome. Yeah, very, very good to work with. Super easy.
We love you, OM system.
Even when he emailed me and he was like, that OM3, we've had a few people asking for it. Like if you finish with it though, but is there any chance that you guys might be done with it? I'm like, yeah. We actually just wrapped up the review, but it was so like polite. What the email should have said, hey, you had this thing for 6 weeks, send it back. Good morning, Rodney Nicholson. Good to see you.
Hey, old man. Good to have you.
LTK Photo says 7 p.m. North Carolina, US. That's right, North Carolina. Very cool. So you're just chilling, relaxing after dinner.
You know what we need? We need a world map, and we can pin when we get different guests on. Although you can probably look that up in analytics, but I think my way's better.
At the moment, it would be like very converged around Tasmania. It'd just be like 60 pins.
Tasmania, California.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a little clump in Bendigo.
Yeah, that's right. And then the rest of the world's just empty. Like, well, we got this whole map. But,
we've got goals. We've got... The world is our oyster, Justin.
It is. I hate oysters. Yeah. All right. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about your thing, about the demise of photography as we know it.
Yeah. Look, it sounds pretty heavy. And I'm not trying to do, I didn't want to title, when I retitled this show, when we found out James couldn't join us, I was like, I'll throw something up that we can talk about. And I was going to make it, like the classic YouTuber thing, photography is dead or something like that. I was like,
with you kind of doing a weird facial expression for the thumbnail, because clickbait,
I don't think photography's dead, but I often wonder about video is just becoming more and more accessible, and Elena says dead. More and more accessible, and also more and more the priority of the places that we consume, I guess, imagery or media. All the social media platforms are definitely leaning towards video, and same with, I guess, everything in our life, our devices all have video capability, and it's even being prioritized. So I'm wondering, is there going to be a point where cameras and still photography, it's just not really a thing anymore? Maybe it becomes so super duper niche as a small little hobby, kind of like, I don't know, quilting. Trying to think of a small hobby. The quilters are going to kill me. And it's all just video, moving pictures.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Look, I don't know. It's interesting because I think social media is going to dictate much of what happens with our industry, unfortunately. As more and more people and newer generations step up to take on social media, it will be all they know. It's not like we were raised on a world of imagery. There was very little video content for us other than what we saw on the TV. And so we know what the quality, what still images can mean. There's a nostalgia attached to still images for us. There's a demand in our generations for still images. But as newer generations step up to the plate and start picking up smartphones and start getting social media accounts, their world will be purely video. Well, majority video. And so there won't be that appreciation for still images. And I think about this topic a bit too, Justin, because often I'll be scrolling social media and I'll realize that I'm not even consuming anymore. I'm glazed, and I'm just flicking through as a time sink because I don't want to, do that work or do the dishes or whatever it might be. Like I just... and I worry that even video will become a bit saturated, I reckon, in some ways, and people will stop, we're in this state of mind that if it's longer than 3 seconds, and unless it grabs us in those first 3 to 6 seconds, why is she calling me a Krispy Kreme?
Because you said you were glazed.
Good one, kiddo. I like that. But you know what I mean? Like if it doesn't grab us in those first 3 to 6 seconds, we just scroll on. And so people are going to create this content that is really heavy on the front end purely to get people to stop scrolling. And I don't know, it's just going to shift the whole dynamic of it. Anyway.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it is. People are always going to be looking for meaningful content. But that whole, at the moment, you can make a piece of content and even with no followers, it can blow up and go viral because of the way that the social media platforms are set up now. What do they call it? Interest-based instead of like subscriber-based. social, which is actually a benefit for a lot of people, newer content creators. There isn't a barrier now to, you don't need to have 1 million followers to have a piece of content that could go huge. So that is a benefit. But the downside is, it's all about that, those first few seconds capturing people's attention with some moving imagery and shocking something, and then that's what I think is leading to maybe photography potentially fading into the background a bit and becoming more of a niche art form as opposed to a main component of media and visual communication. Because if you think about it, like what are all the big things that, photography, newspapers were photography, magazines, billboards.
Yep.
With those things, newspapers are now more online than they are in print, I believe. I don't know if that's true. I just made it up. But I'm pretty sure their readership
feels like it would be
primarily online, even though there are still printed newspapers. Magazines have obviously dwindled a lot, down to very sort of a small amount of niche magazines instead of being huge. And then even billboards now, like a lot of billboards, the big billboards are still fixed image, but a lot of them are digital.
Yeah.
So they can be video.
And it's almost like Blade Runner. It reminds me of Blade Runner, where it was just visual, video, and holograms everywhere you looked.
So
it wasn't.
Where do we fit into that new world of where the capability, if everywhere around your house has digital photo frames and all that kind of stuff, would you have still pictures on there, or would you just have videos on there?
Yeah.
And when everybody's got a 4K capable smartphone to film videos, it's going to become the medium of the everyday medium.
I think it will. And I think also, some of the art of it will be lost too, because everyone that, wearables like Ray-Bans, like what Lucinda, good morning, Lucinda, who has joined us. She uses a pair of wearable glasses that record shorts for her, reels, that she then uses in social media, combined with mixed media of her own images. Going to a wedding, if everyone's wearing a pair of those, is there a need for a photographer? Because everyone's going to be able to share with you their version of what they saw at your wedding from really unique vantage points. Is that going to replace wedding photography? Is that going to, the same with photojournalism. If everyone on the street has a wearables or a video camera in their pocket, is photojournalism going to become more that, that news sites just almost pluck content from your social media to use in their newsreels, in their news feeds?
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of stuff that could change dramatically because we're so heavily gadgeted now when we walk out of the house, and people have seen enough online content that they know how to record stuff. They know how to comment on stuff, and it starts to deplete the need for, tried and tested genres like photojournalism. I mean, we've already seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's happened with phones and stuff. Like there's sending out journos with phones.
Or even just journos don't even get to the site because it's already been covered by, 50 witnesses.
Yeah.
They might interview a couple of witnesses, but that will be down the track. Like, recent events, let's just talk in Australia because there's too much political bullshit going on in the world. But in Australia, where we see something happen, like something crazy goes on at a shopping center, like the news people don't get there until lockdown has already happened by the police, but they're plucking stuff that people have recorded on their smartphones.
Yeah, all of the videos are there's smartphone stuff and then it's just compiled over a news anchor talking about the story, often with not a lot of information. 100% it.
I agree.
Elena's comment is here, but I'm going to hold that until we change topics, Elena. So you just hold tight. LTK Photo says, I find when I give people printed work, it makes the most impact of their work. And I would agree with that. Something physical. So physical prints are probably going to be key to keeping photography meaningful because if it is shown on a screen, I mean, it could just be a video. It could just be, whereas if it is printed, it has a very different feel and impact on the viewer.
Yeah. And it comes back to that topic we had when I first started with you guys on this podcast about why do we shoot and who do we shoot for? You know, maybe that's where the niche of photography will go, that not so much that you'll see still images on screens, but you'll see more physical. It'll become more of an art form, maybe.
Yeah, and I think I often think about this sort of stuff with live music or with music in general. You know, there was all this hullabaloo over the last week or two about that AI band that people are trying to figure out if the band was AI. What was it called? Velvet something? Velvet. Someone help me. Velvet Sledgehammer. Velvet AI band.
I know Velvet Underground, but I don't think they're AI.
Velvet Sundown. You didn't hear about this?
No, I didn't. Can you show us a clip without getting struck?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens.
Even if you just show us an image.
All the let's see. Let me see what I can find.
So what you're saying is someone used some sort of AI software to create music, or
yes,
an actual video clip?
That's the contention. No, music. And let me just show you. Let me make it more interesting. Basically, and now it's blown up in terms of it's being picked up by news places all across the world. Because they've got quite a
Jesus on it.
They've got quite a decent Spotify listenership, and the contention is that not only are the imagery of the band fully AI, so the band isn't real, but that could just be because it's a one-man band working from their basement, and they're like, I'm just going to pretend I'm a real band and put AI imagery out of the band. Like that's
what happens.
So just like pretend. But also people have ripped apart the songs, and there's a lot of artifacts indicating that it's been prompted and generated from an AI music generator.
Wow.
As opposed to someone, tracking this themselves and pretending to be a band. There's tons of these videos. I don't know if we'll be able to hang on. I don't know if I'll be able to play
other streaming platforms.
Where are we? Because this is like a reaction video. I'll see if I can find some of the music.
Just a word of warning, guys. Sorry, I've got renovations going on at the moment, so there might be a few bangs.
So it's like a kind of like 60s throwback band. But yeah, there's a heap of discussion around that at the moment about, is it ethical? It's been trained off musicians, obviously, because otherwise an AI can't reproduce music like that if it hasn't been trained off copyrighted material in the first place. But then the cool thing with music is that band can never stand up and perform those songs live. So there is always the proof of like, Metallica can take the stage and it's them, and you can hear the music and it's real. So that's the ultimate like, hey, this is real. Whereas photography, we don't really have that as much. It's a little bit trickier to prove reality.
Yeah, it is interesting. I guess our version of taking the stage is going out with a camera in hand and actually having to document ourselves, actually taking the shots that people then see. And that just seems really counterproductive, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's almost like, hey, I got to prove it. Let me go and prove, prove that I really did this, which is fun, but it's a different thing. I don't know. Anyway, just something I've been thinking about a lot.
It is an interesting problem. And I think it is a problem because I think it's currently rampant and people have a misconception of how powerful AI actually is and how accurate it actually is. So let me give you an example. So in one of I'm not going to mention the brand because you can all guess what it is, but in one of the Facebook groups that I'm an admin of, 2 days ago, a new post popped up from a new user in our group that we didn't add to our group. And Okay, so it's the Fuji XOS Facebook community. See, I couldn't even last 10 minutes, Justin. 10 minutes.
So before the show, Greg was like, I'm not going to say Fuji once on this episode. I was like, all right, we'll see.
Well, I have to make a point. Anyway, I'm not getting paid for that one. But anyway, so it's the Fuji XOS Facebook group. Okay. And we've got 5,000-6,000 members. It's a pretty big community. I'm an admin. I have been almost since inception. And a couple of days ago, I went into the group page and there was this new member and it was Fuji X Bot. So Meta had been dumping into groups these chatbots as a new member, and it wasn't like an opt-in, opt-out option. They just dropped it in there. Right. So basically what it says in the first post, it says, "Hi, I'm Fuji X Bot." So they actually took our name and created a new user using our name.
Douchebags. And
then it says, so basically the chatbot will potentially respond to posts and questions from other members. So instead of admin or other members supporting this chatbot thinks it needs to step in and actually answer questions.
With whatever it deems...
Whatever, we don't know, because we didn't get any background information about this new member. So we're a closed group and we choose. It's not like we just let anyone in. We actually have a series of questions. People have to accept rules. And this guy just jumps in. And at the bottom of this post, it says like a disclaimer saying, "Please note that responses from Fuji X Bot may not be accurate or appropriate."
No shit.
And it's like, well, why would you drop something in there saying that it's going to respond to questions, it's going to give people advice, it's going to answer questions, but it may not actually be accurate? And so myself and another admin took about an hour to deep dive through Meta's and Facebook's operating system, finding out how to turn this thing off, because it wasn't an opt-in, opt-out option.
Did you get it turned off?
Yeah, we got it turned off.
Can you tell everyone on the internet briefly how they should go about switching that off in their group?
No, I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Excuse me. So it's all happening here. I'm being attacked by a box. I've got the coughs. Sorry, guys.
Philip Johnson says, "Oh dear, the F word." Lol. Yeah, that Fuji word. Also, Maple Glade says, "Welcome back. Welcome back to Twitch."
Thanks, Maple Glades.
It's good to be back, Maple Glades. You're our only actual listener on Twitch so far, I think.
I don't understand why he's welcoming us back, though.
Because back to Twitch, though. Twitch is his
domain, is it?
Domain. And I really like it. It makes me feel welcome because, we don't get a lot of Twitch love. So I appreciate the love, Maple Glades. Sorry that it's a show that we're down a guest today, but we're making it anyway.
Jimbo?
We don't stop. Jimbo's building a fence.
I saw that on Facebook. Yeah.
You want to know something funny? So Jimbo listed his fence on what do you call that thing that you sell stuff on? Oh yeah, that's right.
Marketplace.
Yeah, there's probably an AI bot that helps do it. And so he listed his fence on there. It was like, "Hey, this is cheap. Come and take it away." Or whatever. And he got like 6 million messages about it because it was obviously pretty cheap for a full side fence.
Like $100.
Yeah, it was cheap. Just someone
do me a favor.
Do me a favor, you remove it, but you get a fence that's probably worth a lot of money in materials if you need a fence that you want to install at your house. And our friend Tony, who you would know as Get Off My Digital Lawn in the chat, he's not here today, he's probably working. He zoomed in on the photo Jim used about the fence onto Jim's clothesline and listed it on Gumtree for $10 and said, "For removal, clothesline." And he got some messages about it.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, you got to have a bit of fun.
You do. You do. But getting back to the Facebook Meta thing, it bothers me immensely because the Facebook used to be a platform for the users, right? For the for the, what do you call them? I don't know, for the account holders. And when they make big decisions like this, you know what it's like when I saw that bot, you know what it reminded me of? Remember when they launched an iPhone or an iOS update years ago and they forcibly gave everyone U2's new secret album and they just dumped it onto everyone's iPhone, whether you wanted it or not. And there was huge backlash because people didn't want it. and it was shit. It was possibly their worst studio album ever. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, hang on.
Like an invasion.
Yeah.
As opposed
Making
to
decisions for us. And that's what this felt like. But, you know, because there were members in our group who were going, you know, what the F is this? Like, hey guys, why are we having to deal with AI? And I think it just feels a bit insensitive on Meta's behalf to do that without at least letting the group owner knowing that this is what we've got coming up, the admin team.
Yeah.
Because what if it did give someone the wrong advice? You know, or created confusion amongst the group. Like it just felt underhanded to me and sneaky. And so we've removed it. And a couple of the other admins said, oh, they're in other groups and the same thing has happened and they're all trying to get rid of it because no one wants it. And I think that the biggest fear is that Facebook, a lot of photography communities hang out in Facebook, you know, because we're of an age. We grew up on Facebook in terms of early social media use, you know, and it almost doesn't feel safe because, you know, there's Meta's plucking our images, Meta's using stuff to train AI. Now they're dumping chatbots in our groups without asking. So anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
No. We'll get back to that. I just want to say, Elena said that U2 album would also always autoplay when you didn't even want music to play.
Yeah, it was such a clusterfuck. It really was.
You will like it. I promise.
Yeah.
You just have to hear it 4 or 5 times, then you'll really start to enjoy it.
Yeah. And it was and that was another case of a tech giant misreading the room.
Yeah, they probably thought this is a cool, like no one's ever done this kind of collaboration before, and this will be cool, and everyone loves you too. You know, it's fucking that guy. What's his name? Bono.
Yeah. I think they thought they were doing everyone a favor. Everyone loves you too, right? It's free. Who's going to complain about free?
I mean, worst case, you just don't play it, and then it auto plays. Yeah. LTK says, I find Facebook groups the only reason I keep Facebook. I find it, so there's I agree.
Yes,
I want to talk about this later on as well, because I've made some progress on my infrared photography journey. But I joined 3 infrared photography groups yesterday on Facebook.
Nice.
And yeah, just because I just wanted to get a feel for, like, because you know you can see infrared photography from amazing people, but I'm like, what sort of results are just average users getting, you know, with various camera conversions?
Because you're an average user, yeah.
Not yet, I'm not. I've got to buy a camera first and get it converted. I had a great conversation with what's the company called in Melbourne that does it, that used to be called Camera Clinic and now is called
I can't remember, sorry.
No, I literally rang them yesterday. I've forgotten. Imaging by Design.
Okay, how'd that go?
They are, well, we've already sideswiped a long direction from where we were going with this, but yeah, they were super helpful, like really knowledgeable immediately. I was like, all right, I'm going to ring this place because it sounds like they do a bit of stuff there. You know, they do camera repairs, they do, you know, crazy custom sort of camera stuff for forensics and all sorts of things. So I was like, this is going to be a bit of a few hurdles to jump through because their website's not great. I have to say, guys, you know, let me help you build a new website. Doesn't have a lot of info on it. It says, you know, coming soon or whatever. But you ring them and the first person that picked up the phone knew exactly what I needed to know immediately. And then after a 10-minute nice conversation, they even asked the boss a few questions that I had as well. It was, so far, I'm very impressed with them, and I will absolutely be sending a camera to them to get converted. I just don't know what camera yet.
So what did they tell you that you wanted to hear and that you didn't know you needed to know?
Basically how the conversion process works. So how they do it, how long it takes. So at the moment it's taking up to 6 weeks, but they usually like to have it at like 4 weeks or just under. The prices they do, they're like all cameras are different levels of complexity, but to keep things simple, they just price things as either crappy crop sensor or fantastic full frame. I think are their official.
Fuck, sorry, got an allergy.
But yeah, they just have a standard price for crop sensor or full frame, and then obviously, and then she goes, I don't know if you would do this, but we do have pricing for like phase ones and Hasselblads and stuff. And I was like,
Oh,
no, but that would be
wow.
cool. She's like, we've
Could
done
you
one.
imagine? Yeah.
Imagine, yeah. So basically, ran me through all of that. Ran me through they need to know like whether you're going to use clip-in filters with it or not, and that kind of stuff. And just they sounds like they've had a lot of experience with it. Made me very confident. Oh, Bruce is here. Bruce says,
Hey, Bruce.
Imagine infrared converted phase one. Delightful.
Yeah, and Rodney said it used to be like an operating theatre. I imagine he's talking about that business you're referring to.
Oh, camera clinic. Yeah.
So where have you landed in terms of, top 2 or 3 models that you are considering buying to convert?
I'll probably do. I've read a little bit. There's a lot of information on Kalari Vision as well, which is probably where I'd get the filters from. That's a US place. They do conversions too. They've got a lot of info on their website, and they've got quite a bit of testing with Canon lenses and hotspots and that kind of stuff, and any other issues that they might have. They can have infrared light emitting leaks and weird things like that. So I've done some reading on that, but I think Canon makes the most sense because I've already got a selection of lenses.
Yeah.
So
and it would be fun to experiment with all of your lenses, all 78 of them.
That's right. It's not 78, but yeah. So I'm thinking that I've actually got. I'll save it for a more deep dive episode. But I got a great email from David Leparati.
Hey, thanks, David.
Our last Monday show. Yeah, he's a legend. Every time we talk about IR photography, like it's full page. Like just following up on the chat about infrared from last night's episode, 95 of the Random Photography Show with Andrew Chapman. That's how he starts his email. And then it's just like everything we talked about and more information. It's so good. Talks about how it works with skin tones and different things. It's so good.
Wow. Got your own mentor.
I know. I'm excited. I'm actually, so long story short, I really want to have I would really like to have a infrared photography kind of discussion and get the guy from Imaging by Design on, the boss, just to have him, be able to talk to us about the nuts and bolts about converting cameras and everything he knows, and then potentially have 1 or 2 infrared photography sort of gurus on as well, talking about kind of the technical and creative sides of shooting with various IR camera systems. I don't know what appeals to me about it. I think I've been trying to think about this. I'm like, am I just looking for something to waste money on, or am I looking for that? It's like it would all be new again. Like every scene, you don't know how the camera is going to display that scene.
Yeah.
It would almost be like starting photography again.
It would, in a way. It'd be a little bit like film photography in a lot of ways, because there's that unknown. You're basically starting off again, trying to understand how this particular setup captures light.
That's right. And I think that's why I've been interested in film again lately, but film's not as dramatic of a difference of the scene. Like I have an idea of what's going to happen. Whereas with infrared, and I guess I would probably learn fairly quickly what will happen and what a scene might look like. But it's like
I think that would be, and I think getting people on to talk about it and having a dedicated panel show would be really beneficial, because I think infrared has piqued the interest of most landscape photographers at some point, and most photographers in general who've seen an infrared image. I've seen Greg Carrick's work. I've seen some of our other guests' work, and it's fascinated me. I think that's, if I was going to shoot black and white, I'd like to have a crack at that.
Well, I was thinking, Greg, why don't you look at getting your XE4 converted? Because it can be a full spectrum conversion, so you can still put a clip-in filter to shoot regular. Just thinking, because that would be my other option would be like maybe getting a secondhand Fujifilm camera. But then I need lenses. I know. I'm so excited. I know. Don't get too excited. Because then there's the issue of the tiny little sensor. I can't get past that.
Okay, you need to get over that. You don't need to get past it. You just need to get over that. All right.
It's just, I think it would make more sense. I don't know if I can give up my R3, but I'm like, if I got an R6 Mark II, I could convert it and it could be a backup camera because it's full spectrum. I just don't know if I'm...
Which camera? An R6.
So, an R6 Mark II.
What do they cost retail Australian, roughly?
Gosh, I think some of them are selling at the moment because I think there's an R6 Mark III coming.
Yeah, it's been running for a few months.
There's some selling for like $2,500. No, that can't be right.
No, that's not right.
No, that's not right. 3,500.
That's a lot, man. You're better off buying a second-hand one.
No, yeah. Harvey Norman has an R6 Mark II for $2,598.
Yeah, but they won't have it in stock.
I don't care. I'll wait till it's
like Digidirect. They drop ship. That's not a camera store, dude.
Hang on, it says check stock. Let's check. Available soon. But still, it's so at that price, like it sounds like a lot, but to get a decent secondhand Fujifilm camera or anything is going to be like $1,300, $1,500, something like that. And it's like, this would be brand new.
Plus, you've got the lenses. You don't need to invest in glass.
I've got the lenses, and in theory, it could become my backup camera because I can put a clip in. What do they call them? Hot mirror. I can't remember. There's like a hot mirror filter or something. Basically, it just means becomes regular camera filter, and you can actually shoot with it like a regular camera.
Because when they do the conversion, don't they strip something off the sensor?
They remove and replace it with a piece of glass. They remove the IR and UV filter and replace it with like, I don't know, some Glad wrap or something.
Let's jump to some comments because there's a lot going on in the chat.
There's a lot going on. So
let's go back a bit.
We've got Nick Fletcher is finally here, which means our money
saved the day, mate.
Our money worries are over. David Fluttersuck says, at Nick Fletcher, are you really their biggest financier? Nick Fletcher says, at David Fluttersuck, you better believe it, a whole $20. And then David
donated 25.
No, that was David Fluttersuck.
Oh,
David Fluttersuck has donated $25.
Hey, David, you should jump on with us. And Nick Fletcher, why don't you both? We'll send you a link, and you can.
That'd be cool. Yeah, can we get you both on? That'd be great. Yeah. We need some people on. Does anyone want to join? No one's emailed me, justin@luckystraps.com.au. You could join us on the show right now because we don't have a guest today, so we're just chatting.
Yeah. Just a couple of other. I've got a couple of new people too.
And so David Fluttersuck says, Nick Fletcher, not anymore. I'm the daddy now. So yeah, David Fluttersuck is now basically owns this podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, daddy.
Bruce Moore says it sounds like Justin's not wanting to waste a decent camera. That's right.
By using a Fuji,
By using a Fuji. LTK says Fuji.
More power. Fuji lives matters.
Inda Reed Fogging. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Inda. From joining us from Facebook. By the way, come over from Facebook to YouTube. It's more fun. YouTube, the chat's busier. Can you tell us why Canon people need to go to Fuji? Why do you love it so? That's a question for you, Greg.
Well, I was a Canon shooter and I had a lot of big glass and I had to carry 2 camera bags wherever I went because I had so much glass, and I had FOMO and gas and all of those sort of conditions that we all catch at some stage and eventually heal from. But this is before I was diagnosed with a neck issue. I was just getting really bad back pain, neck pain. It was stopping me enjoying photography because Canon cameras are shit and they're heavy. And the cameras aren't heavy because they're really just plastic bodies, and there's only like this much technology inside of them. And so the bodies are quite airy, but the lenses are heavy. And so that gave me a really bad back, and it almost stopped me doing photography. I almost quit. And then someone handed me the original X100, and I went for a photo walk. I was in love. Haven't looked back since. Sold all the Canon gear, bought a Fuji kit, and yeah, look at me now. My neck is so much better.
So it wasn't the camera. I do have to say, as much as Canon lenses haven't got, at the highest level, Canon lenses haven't got a lot lighter at the highest level. Some of them have, 7200, 2.8 has. It would be a different prospect now if you compared, especially crop sensor Canon cameras now, to what Fuji offer. That the whole lightness thing isn't as big of a, you wouldn't necessarily change systems for it. I think what you would change systems for is the feel. Absolutely. You know, the way you hold it, the way you shoot with it, and that kind of thing. Because like if you use a Canon, gosh, those little R100s and stuff, they're as small as a Fuji.
Yeah.
Easily,
like
as the camera.
That's an XT5. That's their flagship.
Yeah.
It's not mine, it's a friend's, but you know, it's tiny.
Yeah. And that's why, so that actually brings me to a good question. The Canon R8 is tiny as well for a full frame camera. It's very light. It's quite compact and nice in your hands. It's probably a similar size to an XT5 or whatever. The lenses will be slightly bigger because they're full frame lenses, but you can also, when you go full frame, you can afford to shoot f4 when you would need maybe 2.8 on Fuji and so on. So it's you got to make sure you're comparing. If you're comparing full frame to crop sensor sized lenses, make sure you're comparing about a stop slower, because that's about what you'll get in terms of depth of field differences and that kind of stuff too. It's like you don't really want to, and low light ability and that sort of stuff. You don't want to be like, oh well, a Fuji 2.8 versus a Canon 2.8, it's half the size. You're like, yeah, but there's a lot more benefit in a full frame 2.8. You would want to compare a full frame f4 to a Fuji 2.8 and go, okay, what am I getting? What am I not getting? And that kind of stuff. But this is the question that we got to. John Pickett says, would an R8 be a better value for a converted camera? I thought so. But so, because the Canon R8 has a similar size sensor to the R6 Mark II, 24 megapixels or whatever. It actually shoots quite well. It doesn't have IBIS, which means it's a terrible camera that you absolutely could not use in 2025.
Matt Crummins wouldn't use it.
Matt Crummins would not use it. But so the cheapest R8 I could currently find from a reputable place known as Amazon is $1,900. So for the extra $600, I'm getting to go to an R6 Mark II. You're getting IBIS, which is worth its weight in gold. Much better video capabilities, including the fact that it has IBIS means you can actually shoot handheld video, whereas without IBIS is much more of a challenge. It shoots faster, a bigger buffer, has better body ergonomics, including like the joystick on the back for focus selection, that kind of stuff. And then the one big thing, it uses the same batteries as my R5 Mark II, whereas the other one uses small batteries. So then I'm got to buy another battery. There's $100. You know, like, and dual card slots, not a big deal, but you know, like there's a lot of benefits. If it was $1,000 difference, I'd absolutely be looking at the R8. But
from the sounds of it, you're looking at getting a fully fledged camera so that you can shoot everything in infrared or different spectrums, because you're talking about buffer speed, dual SDs, video, whereas I think a lot of people get IR conversions for the landscape.
Exactly, and then
so they don't need all the bells and whistles.
And I'm considering it's a long-term play, but I'm like, could I do without my R3? Because the R5 Mark II is doing pretty well as a sports camera. Not quite as good, but it's a better all-rounder. I use it on most shoots now. And then can I live with a backup camera that's IR converted? That's what I'm wondering. Because I don't shoot with dual bodies that often. I'm shooting with one body and a backup. I've kind of gone away from the two body slinging two cameras running around crazy sort of stuff.
Are they too heavy?
No, because shooting hybrid photo video is a lot to think about. Introducing a second body into that, there's a lot of settings to keep track of, and I just found it slowed me down more than it sped me up. Plus, it is too heavy because you got to throw them all in your.
Sorry, what was that?
They're too heavy because you've got to throw them all in your backpack and then try and
Clip
mountain
that,
bike
Eddie said. Clip that.
down runs that I'm not capable of.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot to it. I don't know. The hard thing is, exactly like you say, the infrared conversion thing in my mind was always like you buy a cheap secondhand camera, and you do that. But what I want to do with it is I really want to try and shoot action sports with it, as well as play around with landscapes and stuff. So the things that
shooting everything with IR would be amazing.
Just to try, just to see.
Yeah, go out and shoot street. Go and shoot macro. Like, just try everything.
I feel like it would be fun. I'm just worried that it's also that I'm what do you call it? I'm
looking to compensate for something. Like in terms of your creativity.
Exactly.
I don't mean your PP. I mean.
A bit of both. That's why I need a big IR camera. That's why.
Can I make a recommendation or just a suggestion, and then we can talk about it? Why don't you, for your first time, buy a cheaper secondhand
IR camera?
Body? No, just a body. Then get it converted, and just see how you go before you step up to the plate and convert an R3. Like,
no, I'm not going to convert an R3. So the problem is with that, the cost of the conversion and the clip-in filters, you're talking way over $1,000. So doing it on a cheap camera is basically throwing that money away.
Yeah, true.
So because I feel like I'm going to go, and then that cheap camera, if I only have one lens for it, do I do what I really want to do with it, or do I end up just sort of having it as a bit of a novelty for a few weeks? I'd probably have a bit of fun. And then either being like, okay, now I've got to invest all that money again in a camera that can do what I want, or it just sits on the shelf for a while and I end up putting it on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, the other option is that you hit up Canon. You've got a good relationship with them, given how much money you send them every week. And say, hey, guys, I've got a project in mind. Can you give me a camera? I'm going to fuck it up.
And then let me send it to Imaging by Design to like...
Yeah, no, like be completely transparent about it. But then you've actually got to commit to making it work and making a project out of it that Canon feel happy about. I don't know. It can't hurt to ask a question.
Yeah, I think there's ways that I could try and minimize the costs and risks. That's for sure. LTK Photo says romanticizing the idea. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I'm worried that I'm like, am I just sort of using it as a crutch? You can be creative with a regular camera. Am I just like, oh, this would be new and different, but it's not actually, there's nothing behind it. That's what I'm worried about. Nick says, talk to Jen at Canon. Yeah, I know I could hassle Jen. I definitely could. I'm actually going up to Frame Fest in Sydney.
I saw that,
next weekend.
That's funny. I haven't got my flights yet.
I couldn't afford to send us both. It's already cost
you heard it here. You heard it here first, folks.
So also because Frame Fest is like an influencer festival, so it's like for younger influencers. And as it is,
the insults keep coming.
I'm gonna have to wear some sort of disguise because I don't think they'll let me in. I'm gonna have to put like some smooth baby skin on or something.
We all call you baby face Justin behind your back, so I don't know why you're worried.
Because I can't grow a beard.
John Pickett, great to see you on the show, John, has said free cameras are the best cameras, haha. And young Bruce says this is great.
Nick says get a man bun. Yeah, that's the only way I'll get into this Frame Fest thing, I think. I'm pretty excited about it because I think we can find some guests up there. From this world of, there's a lot of what they call creators, but I think that in these creators there's some great photographers that are just they're putting a lot of their time into social, but making great work, and I want to try and track them down and get them on the podcast.
I think that, to see people that sort of maybe grew up in our block and then have adapted to compete in a younger market would be great too.
Nick Fletcher says, can I send you a list of cool guests? You can, Nick. You can, as long as we can get
Justin's email.
As long as we can get you and David Fluttersuck and David Clutterbuck on the show all at once. But yes, please send us a list of cool guests. Please, please. please.
Yeah.
Anyone else listening too, if you have any guest suggestions, I found a storm chaser that I want to try and get on the show. Would you guys like to hear it? Like a storm chaser that travels to the US, chasing storms. It's like they're more of a storm chaser than a photographer, but when they track the storm down, they take photos of it, and their photos are epic. But I think their passion lies more in the meteorological storm chasing side of it than it does in the image making side. But I thought that would be a really fun chat if we can, if Greg can track him down. I think he's a hard man to catch.
I'm onto it.
You're onto it?
Yeah, I'm onto it.
Nice. Who else should we try and get on this show?
Let us know, folks. Let us know in the comments, or you can send an email to Justin. But have
you got a dream guest you'd like to get on the show, Greg?
Me? No, because they're all Fuji shooters, and you'll just all fucking hate on me for it. Jim especially. I just feel bullied in the workplace sometimes. Do I have any dream guests? You know, it's interesting. I don't think I do. I don't follow people. I follow a shit ton of photographers on socials, but I don't kind of fanboy over people necessarily. So yeah, no, I don't. But having said that, you know, we're at what, 96 episodes. We've had some astounding guests on the show.
That's right.
And people who I've learned to love and admire as creatives. So yeah, it has been an interesting process.
Bruce says he can give us a heaps of suggestions depending on what topics we want. This is the thing, we're open to all topics. We just want interesting people, and that our listeners will find interesting. So photographers that have done cool stuff, interesting projects, anything, or you know, people with knowledge on technical side of stuff that want to deep dive into printing photos or whatever. Speaking of which, I got to pay for my Canon printer that I've ordered.
Woohoo! Did you get a Prime Day deal?
No, I got a Canon, a really nice to me deal.
That's good.
Yeah, they're wonderful. Yeah. And so it's the 1100, the Pro 1100. I'm excited. Comes with full.
Oh, you'd hope so.
You know what? Did I tell you this last time? I'm going to start having, not ideal for any of you guys that don't live in Bendigo, but I'm going to start having, once I get this printer, pizza and print parties.
I'll come to town for that.
Yeah, you can come to town. So basically the plan would be I set the printer up, not that our house is very, we don't have a lot of space. We live small. But I'll set it up in a more communal area than my office, maybe. And then have people over, just our friends and stuff, tell them to bring a USB with any photos that they've been meaning to get printed. And we just print photos and I'll cook pizzas.
Are you going to cook pizzas?
Yeah, I've got for my 40th birthday, all my friends chipped in and gave me one of those little Gosney Rockbox pizza oven thing. So I've been
want one of those, but I've got nowhere to put it here in an apartment.
They're only I was going to say they're only small, but yeah, apartment. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. They kind of need them outside.
Yeah.
You need like a little courtyard or something at the front of your house, little enclosed, like an indoor outdoor courtyard.
Yeah, well, I tried to do that, remember, but the body corporate poo-pooed it.
I know, that's what I was.
So now we're going to buy this huge statue of the Virgin Mary with the baby Jesus and a fountain that comes out of his penis. And we're going to put it right in our little front courtyard so that I can just say fuck you to all the neighbors without having to say it.
Especially if you can turn that fountain up as they walk past and like really get the.
And every now and then I'll put in a little, this might be sacrilegious, I'm sorry to anyone that is religious, but I might put a little red food dye in the water tank every now and then and it can piss blood.
No.
Yeah, I want to be the talk of town.
Rodney Nicholson says, "You're not 40."
I know, see? He looks 12.
You're only as old as your podcast guests.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, guys, having just dialing back a little bit, we went very much off topic, talking about getting guests on the show. If you've got recommendations, hit us up. Either email me. Most of you've got my email, or email Justin, yeah, just let us know who you think would be a great person. Why? If you've got an email or a contact number, even better. It makes it easier for me to get in touch with them. And international guests are fine. They don't have to all be Australian photographers. We're very non-racist here.
That's right. We'd like some
and-
international guests, actually.
Yeah, we would. But, you know, that's not to say we don't have guests coming up. We're almost booked out until October at this point. So, you know, we're well on the way.
David Clutterbuck says, I think Fluttersuck might be some dick with a spoof account amusing themselves at my name. Not funny.
I when people do that.
And also follows up with the, ooh, I have the Pro 1000. Yours is 100 better. That's right. Mine is 100 better.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned. Apparently that Pro 1100 weighs 40 kilos. So I'm trying to figure out where I'll put it.
Going to hate you.
My newly laid out office.
Yeah, you might need a new desk.
Doesn't have a lot of space. I just got a new desk. Doesn't have space.
No, you did. I need a new desk. I'm going to get a new desk. I'm going to look at Prime Day deals. And on that topic, is anyone out there that's watching or listening, have you ordered anything with Prime Day that's for your photography, either creative or for your photography business? Let us know in the chat. Because I have spent almost 24 hours just scouring.
There's
Amazon.
not a lot in Australia.
No, it's a lot. There's a lot of garbage.
A lot of I mean, if you want a fucking air fryer or a RoboVac, Prime Day is for you. But that's all it is. It's like air fryers, RoboVacs, and fucking Bose Quiet Comfort headphones.
I've been looking for a new monitor for my desk. So,
oh yeah, I'm sure there's probably deals on monitors. But yeah, I mean, there's UGG boots that are 74% off. It's a good winter deal. But I don't know. The whole Prime Day thing over here doesn't seem to be quite as big as they make it out to be in the US with the deals. Don't get sucked in. I did see Fujifilm had something like almost 30% off, like a camera. I think it was the XT50, maybe.
Oh, that's not bad. Was that on Amazon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you can get some SD card deals, but SD cards have become so cheap. Like they've got a SanDisk Extreme 128 gigabyte, fine for camera, for stills. 128 gig, $25. That's 47% off. So that's pretty good. You know, you can. Who doesn't need more SD cards? Seriously,
check you can tell us this, Greg. Is this a deal or not?
What's that? XT50, 1974. Let's have a look.
With the 15 to 45 lens.
Yeah, but that's like a $200 lens. It's a piece of garbage, really.
Okay, because it says it's 29% off.
Let's have a look on Ted's and see if they have XT50 plus what? The 15 to 45?
Yeah.
Come on, Ted, you can do it. XT50.
While you're doing that,
$25.99.
So it is a decent deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal. And the XT50, that's a huge saving because that's a cracker of a camera. That's 40 megapixel sensor. It has the X processor 5.
The issue was with it when it came out, it was basically just a Temu version of the XT5 at a very similar price because the XT5 was discounted so much. It's been out for so long because it's older, but they had similar specs. And if anything, the XT50 just was missing a few of the XT5's sort of pro features.
Yeah, it's only got a single SD card. It doesn't have weather sealing. It's a less robust body. I can't remember if it has IBIS. Does it have IBIS? No, it doesn't have IBIS.
Ugh, don't buy it.
No, it does have IBIS. Sorry, it does.
Buy it.
Matt will get one.
So the XT50, I think the issue was that it was too close. It was the same price as an XT5, but if it's 500 or more cheaper, it suddenly is like that's a decent buy.
That's kind of what it should be worth. No, actually, it was. The whole pricing really shits me as a product reviewer because often in my reviews I talk about value for money, and then that most people complain about the cost of new cameras these days. Like, so the XT50 came out, and the biggest complaint was it's exactly the same price as the XT5, yet the XT5 is better, and that's true. Yeah. But the XT5 at the time was 2.5 years old. Okay, when the XT5 came out, the cost of consumer electrics was nowhere near what it is today. It has grown exponentially.
But the problem with that is, though, that's still the reality. Like, I understand what you're saying, but it's still the reality of, like, why would I buy this new
Oh
camera.
yeah.
It's not as good as, you know, like that's, and then for the same price. And but then it always equalizes out a little bit after launch. Everyone starts to do deals on it, and then all of a sudden it is worth buying.
Yeah. Look, if you're looking for a first Fuji camera and you've got about $2,000 to spare, this is exceptional value for money.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal.
Even and with I mean, that kit lens will serve you well. It's a piece of garbage.
Sold by Amazon, shipped by Amazon.
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't even know that was a thing in Australia for cameras. I didn't know like Amazon sold cameras. I always thought it was through like a store or something.
Yeah. I think they're big enough to do it. But yeah, look,
David Clutterbuck says that printer fits nicely under a desk on the floor. Would that? I wondered that. Is that okay? Like, is that going to cause me any problems with dust or anything like that? Or is that because I do have a room under my desk? There's a heater vent near there though. Anyway,
no, don't do that. Cook it.
Bruce Moyle says, I'm always scared of getting media off something amazing like SD.
Amazon.
Oh, Amazon. Oh, too many horror stories of fake. Yeah, that is a risk. And it's like, you want to make sure it's not coming from a rando seller. You want to make sure it's coming from a store that sells genuine SD cards, because that is true. They just make SanDisk fake cards, and they're not SanDisk. So they won't perform as fast, and then they also might corrupt. So that is one thing that if you're just like mucking around with photography, I don't know, get whatever. But if you don't want to lose your stuff, don't overspend. Don't walk into a big name camera store.
Yeah.
Go into a small name camera store like Camera and Photo. Go see Brendan and ask him what SD card to get. Don't walk into a big name camera store and buy something at retail price just because it's got the higher specs or whatever. Do some research first, because spending $900 on a card, if you're not doing work like Bruce is, if you're just doing like, you know, general photography, you don't need to spend $900 on the higher spec card.
No.
But don't buy cheap junk unless you're willing to risk just losing all of your work.
Yeah.
Like I did, which was my fault. Nick Fletcher says FujiCast is going strong. Agree with Bruce. Don't buy cards off Amazon or eBay.
Yeah.
David Clutterbuck's printer's been under the desk for 4 years. He's never going to let it out. Throw a towel over it when you're not using it. Geez, we could be talking about anything. LTK Photo says, I have a dust cover on my Pro 300. Ooh, did you buy that somewhere, or is it just a towel or something?
I love how much your eyes light up every time you think you might be able to buy something new. It's so sweet.
I love getting packages.
Oh, yeah.
You should
come and stay at our place for a while. We've had so much stuff arrive lately.
Yeah, I'm just looking around here. I've been getting lots of stuff. I've been getting my guitar equipment set back up again, which is nice. I haven't had to buy much stuff for that. I had it all in storage.
I'm about to buy a guitar for Brendan, my son, who's
really
bass. Yeah.
Ooh, snapping the bass. Well. That's cool.
Yeah,
so you're going to buy him a bass?
I'm going to get him an acoustic that can plug in. So we'll start him off with you can get bass acoustics and ones that you can plug into an amp later.
Interesting.
I don't want to start with an amp.
You just do headphones.
I tortured my family for 6 years in high school playing saxophone.
Okay. Look, I don't have a lot of experience. I would get an electric bass and headphone setup, because you might even find it cheaper than an acoustic bass, and probably feel nicer to play. Acoustic basses are not common. In terms of getting something that's quality for a lesser price, an electric bass will be a lot easier to do that. And then, you just, there's tons of options these days for little devices that plug straight into the bass, that Bluetooth to headphones or whatever. Give it a nice amp.
All right.
Yeah, don't even get an amp. Just be like, no, headphones.
Yeah.
This is what we're starting with, headphones. I would do that.
Okay.
Rodney Nicholson says go Maton. Yeah, that would be expensive if they do make acoustic basses. Maton will be expensive because they're Australian made, because they're high quality. I actually want to go and visit their factory. And because a little known fact, the leather Maton guitar straps that you see in music shops with Maton on them are made in the same factory as our Lucky straps.
We're posh.
We are.
Invisible Artist.
Invisible Artist says Amazon has a couple of okay deals on light modifiers for video. Aperture. Ooh. I
just bought an aperture light.
Did you? I actually need a new aperture softbox for our product photography setup. Yeah, I got a couple of fake Canon batteries. We can't stop spending money on gear. It's a problem. Yeah, I'm going through that at the moment, and I need to.
It's only a problem if you can't pay rent and feed your family.
This is true.
And even then, as long as you can feed your family, toast and beans is perfectly fine. 2-minute noodles, cheapest thing in the supermarket. People can survive on less.
Since people seem to be sticking with us on this show, which is nice, about considering we're talking about just all sorts of random stuff. Guess what I'm doing right now, out my window right here.
What?
I'm smoking,
you want me to guess?
I'm smoking 6 kilos of lamb shoulder.
6
Put it on
kilos.
Yeah, two separate.
How long is that going to be on for?
12 hours.
When will it be ready?
Yeah,
I'm just looking at the V-line schedule.
Yeah, about 7 p.m. I'm aiming to have one of them ready for dinner. One's bigger than the other. The bigger one's going to take longer for sure. Probably take 13 or 14.
So what time's dinner? And what should I bring? Red or white?
7 and beer.
7 and beer. Okay. Actually, Sash and one of the kids is coming to Bendigo again tomorrow.
Oh, really? What are they doing?
Sasha's taking Juno, our youngest daughter, to the Frida Kahlo thing. So Sasha's going to stay in that again at that hotel we stayed at last time.
Yep.
And they're going to have a little girls' night, girls' weekend away in Bendigo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great food, art, lots of really nice boutique shops. I love it. I had such a good time the last time we came.
You should
had dinner with a couple of losers.
Hey, speaking of losers, Elena says 7 p.m. You heard it here first. Yeah, I'm notorious for the meat. The meat does what the meat does. That's the problem with smoking meat, and it's not ready.
You tell Elena.
Was that innuendo? The meat does what the meat does.
Elena, listen, babe. The meat does what the meat does. All right, you just got to go with it sometimes.
I don't control the meat. But yeah, you just have, sometimes it's like it'll be like 7. I'm like, it's not ready yet, and then it'll be 8, and then it's like pushing 9 o'clock. I'm like, look, it's just.
I can stay the night. I mean, I don't have any commitments tomorrow.
We will hang out, mate. Elena had a question early on. We're about to get onto that soon about cameras.
Oh yeah, photography. Sorry,
we're going to get
the
back
body
to
wants what the body wants.
Rodney Nicholson,
girl.
Your straps are amazing. I just love mine. Yes, we should also. Pete Mellows made a cool video about his strap. It's a good story. I'll actually link it in this show. Yeah, we're going to find a way to share it around. He made a great video just on a little adventure he was heading on, but he was showing off his new wrist strap that he got from us, which is really nice. It was a great video.
Have a watch of it, guys. We'll drop it in the show notes in the comments down below somewhere.
Yeah, in the show notes. Or if you just type in Pete Mellows into YouTube, I'm just going to check what happens. Yeah, it just comes up. Just go to Pete's channel. Go and make sure you subscribe to his channel. So go to. Hang on, let me just. Yeah. I'll share it.
Yeah.
So if you type in Pete Mellows on YouTube, you'll see this face.
Yeah.
Then press this button over here that will subscribe you, and then watch this video. It has the strap me in thumbnail.
Yeah.
Because he actually tells a good story about dropping his camera. So
yeah,
not with our.
And subscribe and watch Pete's stuff. There's 2 reasons for that. One is that it's really, really well done. He's got a very unique documentary style that growing up in Australia as a kid, Justin's too young for this because he's babyface Castles. Babyface Castles doesn't remember this, but some of the older folk out there remember the Leyland brothers. They used to do these really nice, humble Australiana documentaries about exploring different things, and stuff would go wrong there. Their old Holden or Ute or whatever would break down, and they were really. And Pete reminded me of the Leyland brothers from back in the day. So please go check it out. And yeah, lovely discussion about. And you can see from watching Pete's videos his passion for local environment. He's in Tasmania. and he just loves it. Like he just gets this energy in him. It's really beautiful to watch. So I recommend everyone have a look at Pete's channel. But the other thing that we're going to do, we're booking in a panel show in the coming months ahead, and Pete will be on that again. And we're going to talk to some of the some of the photographers in our community who have YouTube channels, and we want to talk about what does it take to start, run, and sustain a YouTube channel these days. If you're a photographer, like how much work is really involved? What did you do to get started? We're going to cover off all of that. I think that would be really, because we all sort of thought of it at some stage. I think I even set up a YouTube channel, but I think I maybe didn't put any videos on it. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, and I used to drink a lot. So, yeah.
We will. That'll be fun. Hey, chat, is Greg glitching for you guys, or is it just me? How's his audio? Let me know.
I can jump to 5G if I need to.
Yeah, I don't know. It must be something. The kids on the gaming platforms.
Yeah, kids
streaming. School holidays. Hang on, new comments. Let me see. Yes, Greg is glitching. Sorry. Anyway, Greg was saying we're going to have a panel show of YouTubers, YouTube photographers, talking about what it's like. Yeah, glitchy occasionally, little glitchy. Greg is glitching. Okay.
All right.
Robot Greg. Yeah, okay.
Let me just jump to, I might drop out for a sec. I'm going to jump to my phone.
All right. I'm going to go back and find Elena's question from earlier. All right. Is Greg frozen? He looks funny. He's frozen. This is great. Let's all make fun of Greg while he's gone.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay. Elena says, how about talking about the fact that the Leica did not make me feel like a good photographer at Electric Wonderland? As expected, Jim's Nikon photos were significantly better. All right, let's break this down. Elena is experimenting with the idea of getting a camera. She obviously knows a bit about photography just from proximity, but
osmosis.
And she's handled my cameras and taken some photos with my cameras before, but this was sort of, I guess, one of the first times where I was like, all right, we're going to go to this Electric Wonderland thing, which is a night light up, what do you call it? Activity display type setup. So if you went on the show the other day, we were talking about it. It's just like in the Bendigo, the main park in town, they set up all these activities and light up things for after dark, big light up sculptures and animals and displays and lasers and all that kind of stuff. Kind of like Vivid Sydney, but small is what I said. And then I got in trouble. And so I said to Elena, all right, well, take this camera, take the Leica and just, have a bit of fun. I basically set it to aperture priority with manual shutter speed, but auto ISO, and showed her how to use exposure compensation so that she could dial in the exposure that she was hoping to get, and had it set to f1.7 to let as much light in. And then we sort of changed the shutter speed down to as low as about a 60th of a second, depending on what she was shooting, to let as much light in as possible. Elena says, pull up the Justin and Jim Instagram. Okay, I could do that. And can I do that? Sorry, distracting from my story. And she was cruising around having a great time, but obviously then if you see Jim's images, he was shooting with a Z8 and a 50-1.2 lens, which is going to, one, let in even more light and also focus infinitely better in low light situations and tracking subjects. Let me share this. Here are some of Jim's photos from the night. I think these are Jim's. Yeah, they're Jim's. No, that's not Jim's. Here we go. So he was able to, get focus on kids moving around. That's Haley and my nephew Nash wearing his.
That's really cute
hat. Yeah, I was wearing one of those hats too. I don't know if there's. I think Jim's got a photo of me somewhere wearing the bear hat. I'll have to track it down. And basically, Yelena's like, how come, it was so much harder for me to get those sort of photos using the Leica? And there's a few things to it, obviously, which Bruce has alluded to here. Having a hammer doesn't mean you're good at hitting things without practice. I recommend hitting lots of things. And that's a good point. It's like Jim has been a professional photographer now he went to uni for photography.
Yeah.
Like, so after he left school, he became a photographer and he worked
and then learned his ropes in a media office, like in a newspaper.
7 years at full-time at a newspaper, shooting anything. Like, hey, you got to go. He would have been sent to this event in the past to cover it, to get photos to go in the paper. That would have been his job. And he was doing that kind of work 10 years ago. And then since then has run his own business as a photographer, shooting again. Like, this is the stuff that he was shooting there is like every day at a wedding. Low light, fairy lights, people moving around. Like that stuff happens all the time at a wedding, shooting after dark kind of activities. So insane amount of experience. But then there's also, I think, that issue of like the Leica with the 28 is, I think Jim's photos with the Leica with the 28 wouldn't have been as good as Jim's photos with the Z8 and the 51.2 for this situation. Does that make sense? Even in Jim's hands as an experienced photographer, shooting 28mm versus 50mm in those situations, I think is trickier.
Yeah, you've got to be used to the focal distance.
And a wider focal distance means you're bringing in more of the surroundings, which means you need to be more considered of your composition and particularly lighting, because the problem with this thing that they let us into, it was running late to let us in. And so instead of it being at blue hour, it was dark, completely dark. So it's basically like you're either using the lights or everything is black. Whereas if it was blue hour, you would have got some blue in the sky and you could compose those wider shots with a 28mm and have some interest in your photo. Whereas here,
you can actually see what you're shooting too better.
Well, and it'll focus.
Just having visibility.
All that stuff. So, so yes, I think Yelena is correct. We set her up to fail. No, I just thought, I'm trying to figure out what sort of a camera she would enjoy to have, because she kind of wants a camera like the Fujifilm, like the Fujifilm X-Half, but something that actually takes good photos.
Get an X100.
She wants, it probably is maybe something like the X100. But what I wanted to see is, does she like that wider focal length? Is she happy with a focal length that's fixed, or does she want to be able to zoom, say, from about 24 to 50 or 24 to 70? Does she want to be able to kind of, go wide but also go close? What about form factor? How small does she want it to be? All that stuff. I was trying to get a feel.
There's a lot. And my advice, because I get asked a lot about what's the best first camera as part of my role doing reviews and recommending gear to people. I say to people, if you are going to start with a interchangeable or even a fixed lens camera, but let's say an interchangeable lens camera, then start with a 50mm, or start with a 35 and just shoot with that only, because it doesn't, to Bruce's point, you, me and Jim and most of the people following along with us on the chat, we can put a 23mm lens on an APS-C camera and know roughly where we need to stand to get the composition we want. We can put a 50mm on a full frame camera and know where to stand to get the composition we want. Because that just comes with practice and trial and error and doing it over and over and over again. I always recommend to people, if you don't want the complexity of having to also worry about zoom, then go with a fixed lens or just start with like a 35 or a 50mm.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
And what's interesting is we'll get to some comments in a second about this. So I appreciate everyone throwing their thoughts into the chat. But I think if anything, phone photography actually brought people back towards the idea of fixed lens. Because everyone was so Zoom was, you just zoomed with all digital cameras and stuff, like consumer digital cameras.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of like shooting with just a 50 was kind of a weird thing when I started photography. I know it was normal in the earlier days shooting film, but when I started and I bought a Canon 60D, you did in a camera shop, they didn't really say to get that, but on the internet, everyone was like, get a 50, get a prime.
Yeah.
You'll love it. Just get a cheap prime. But in a camera shop, they were like, get a twin lens kit, zoom, get in, and you can do everything with that. But then the iPhone for so many years was just like, it took one focal length. If you need to get closer, you walk closer. And it kind of got people used to that idea again of like, now you can pinch and zoom on an iPhone, or if you've got the triple cameras, you can select which one you want or whatever. But it was, for a long time, and it was at about 28 mil. That was just what you shot with if you took a photo on your phone.
Yeah.
It was, so, okay. So John Pickett says, you don't take photos with a Leica, you take photos of a Leica. Got to let people see that red dot. It was too dark for anyone to see what you were shooting with. It was actually funny because it was a photography, like they invited all the photographers in town to this pre-opening show or whatever, and we were rocking around. And I was like, Yelena, you've got the most expensive camera here, just so you know. Nick Fletcher says, would be worth swapping cameras. Give Jim the Leica. Bet the results are similar. Do you mean similar as in Jim would struggle with the Leica, or similar as in Jim would do well with the Leica? He would do well with whatever camera you slap into his hands. And
that's a fair call.
Nick also is fair call, says fair call on the 51.2. The 51.2 is like, in this situation, it's the lens. It helps you focus in on the subject, get massive amounts of bokeh, let tons of light in on the camera, and those Z8s focus in the dark, basically. So, yeah. Jay Shani, my favorite, 28 mil is a slightly unusual focal length for many people. For some, 35 or 50 is more natural. That could be it too. LTK says seems like more of just a point and shoot camera setup with the Leica, and it is. It's kind of a point and shoot sort of thing. But she was in control of aperture and exposure compensation and stuff like that. So it was more than just pressing buttons. But
I think you threw her into the wrong experience to test a Leica. Or test any camera. I think you did set her up to fail. But, I applaud her bravery. I applaud your stupidity.
The thing was, it was it didn't matter if she came away with no photos. It wasn't like she was going there by herself to get photos, anything like that. It was like there was a few of us going. Didn't matter what she got. It was more of the experience of using that camera and what it was like. But, certainly shooting in the dark is not a good way to start. And Elena says ignorance is bliss. Bruce, I always get a 51.8, always say to get a 51.8 because you can learn heaps with it. Zoom makes people lazy and not learn technique. Zoom is where you go after learning the basics. Yeah, for sure. And they're so cheap, and the quality of a 51.8 on almost every system is great enough to make professional work with. Obviously,
it doesn't even have to be a 1.8. You can get a slower aperture. It really won't matter.
No, but the cool thing about a 1.8 is you can get those results that you've seen other people do. Like, if Jim's got that 51.2, if I was shooting next to him with a 51.8 and we compare the photos, everyone's going to say the 1.2 looks better. But if you take them away from each other, you don't show people the 1.2, you just show them my photos on the 1.8, everyone will still like those photos.
But we're not trying to teach Yelena how to create photos that people like. We're trying to teach Yelena how to operate a camera system. I'm just saying the 1.8 isn't a necessary.
But it lets you learn depth of field in a lot. You can actually really see the depth of field.
You can learn depth of field on f2s and 2.8s.
You can't learn depth of field on that fucking X half that they made. All you can learn is that everything is in focus all the time.
Now you're just clutching at straws. Now you're just sounding pathetic.
Hey, I don't want to hate on Fuji, but
no, go on.
they get a lot of love on this podcast, so we've got to stick the knives in where we can.
Yeah.
I saw an X half. This is very interesting to me. I've seen an X half on Facebook Marketplace for 3 weeks now at a discounted price, brand new. They're just not for me, just getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And that would have never happened with the X100 when it got released in any of the versions, because it would be getting sold for probably more than new. And same with the GFX 100 RF. I think if the GFX 100 RF was on there, unless it was like used too much or something like that, it would have sold very quickly to one of these people that's waiting for it.
Yeah.
And the XRF is just sitting there unsold.
Yeah. It's an interesting problem.
Yeah. And I know they're selling them. It just doesn't have the same, I don't think it's got the same release success that the X100 series and the new GFX 100 have had.
Yeah.
Would you think that's accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. I think that there's a real dilemma at the moment with the pricing of these products, and it's only going to get worse because America has just dropped another tariff on Japan. I think 25% this time.
Like 25%?
Yeah. So that's going to screw with all sorts of stuff. Cameras, gaming, mostly my two favorite things.
Well, it shouldn't too much in Australia. Like there
will be fallout.
Yeah, because they amortize they're like, okay, this is going to cost us this much in the US. If we raise prices 5% worldwide, that helps balance that out. You know, that kind of crap. So
yeah, we don't burn one market, we just burn the whole world kind of thing.
No, just singe the whole world. We don't burn one. Yeah,
but it's just price badly. But I mean, there is a big gap in sub $1,000 cameras too. 1,500 tops. There's a big gap. All the brands used to have point and shoots. They used to have, all of them. Lumix, Canon had Ixus. Is it Canon had Ixus?
Ixus?
Sony had more power shots. Everyone had these really capable point and shoots, and they've disappeared from the market because it's not worth it for the brands to make them.
Canon had the S90, S100, and S110. I think that series that was quite popular. Were they 1-inch sensors? I can't remember. They were pretty popular as the pocket camera of a pro photographer for a while. And then Sony had the RX100s, which are kind of level above. But there hasn't been a new RX100 for. Oh, the RX1R. Yeah. No, but the RX100?
It's up to number 7, but that hasn't changed for
6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I just think the bottom has fallen out of they're trying to flog bigger cameras to people. They're trying to inspire people to, because if you remove anything that's $1,000, $1,500, what's the next option? We'll have to save longer and buy a $2,000 to $3,000 camera.
Yeah, that's right.
The brands win. I'm not saying they're being deceitful about it, because I'm sure it costs them a shitload of money to make a camera. And they've got to get their money back. They've got to make everyone happy at the other end of the consumer experience. So, but yeah, that the X half is just way overpriced for what it's, even for the experience of it. It's just not.
It's that,
it's not right.
and it's not, the image quality doesn't match up to.
No.
I think the sell at the price, and also the pitch, like, hey, become a photographer, I guess. Experience film and stuff like that. They just slightly missed the mark, I think, on that. What
about one of those new Canon influencer cameras we've been talking? We saw them at the what was it? The Camera House 40th birthday celebration.
The V1. I'm trying to get my hands on one. Why don't you
get one of those for you later? And then technically you've got one in the house.
I think people have said it's not a great photography camera. It doesn't have an EVF, I don't think, does it?
Oh, no, that's different then. Yeah, you need an EVF.
But there's rumors that there might be a more photography-oriented version of the V1 coming.
They should.
In the Canon rumors site. Let me see. New G series power shot is coming, which, because Canon always had the G7X and all those kind of things. And basically,
because they've just discontinued all of those, haven't they?
That's right. So, yeah, that's the rumor is that maybe before the end of 2025, we'll see a more photography focused version of the V1, basically, which I think that would be a great camera if it still had some video features, just standard 4K recording, just normal, nothing fancy. But a bit more photography focused with an EVF, maybe a nicer feel about how you control the camera for photography. I think that would be a really cool thing. And
sorry, folks.
It's okay. We'll keep this between us and the few people watching, maybe listening. But I'm even working on like a smaller connection system for those cameras. This is some prototype webbing that we've had made and sent to me yesterday. It arrived. So because they have very small strap lugs on them, but they don't have the ability to put you can, but they don't come with like triangle rings. It's sort of odd the way that they've done it. Can put triangle rings on them to fit our larger straps, but anyway, so I'm trying to figure out if we can make something that fits these newer.
Well, that'd be exciting.
Yeah, see what we can do.
A couple of comments here from JS Hanny. Let me just bring it up.
Got it.
There's a huge disconnect between consumer expectation and manufacturing costs. If I look at the new OM5 II, is it the 2 or the 3 at the moment? OM5 II, they've done a pretty good job to keep the price the same as the older OM5 I. But to do so, they've had to reuse the old sensor and EVF, and that's drawing some criticism. Yeah, it has.
It doesn't have a cool desert colorway, though.
Is it cool? But building a sub $1,000 camera means building a fundamentally compromised device that buyers will never really find fault with. And that's something that we're seeing more and more. It doesn't matter how superior the technology is in brand new cameras, everyone finds fault in something. And those faults then become viral and it sways people's opinions. But really, at the end of the day, it's still a phenomenal piece of technology. And just because a couple of YouTube influencers go, oh yeah, but it does this, or it's really only 7.5 instead of 8 stops of IBIS, and and people latch to that negativity. It's really frustrating to see sometimes.
Yeah, but also, yeah, it's that's it. Like for under $1,000, it's going to be tricky. It is also interesting though, because you think about it as well as all the sorts of things that you can buy for under $1,000 in technology, and it's like, well, I mean, you can do a lot with that, but maybe it's economy of scale. Maybe they're much, RoboVacs, for example. Maybe if they're selling 10 times as many or 20 or 100 times as many, you can do quite advanced things for under $1,000 price point.
Yeah.
But if you think about all the moving parts and technology that goes into and the app, those freaking RoboVacs that are on sale for Amazon Prime, they scan your whole house with LiDAR or something, and it's insane. The tech is pretty advancth.
Just a word to from the wise: if you have a RoboVac and a pet who happens to poo in the house every now and then, yeah, that's never gonna end well. Never.
It's just gonna smear it around.
Yeah, it just paints the house because it keeps thinking that it's got to clean it up, and then it goes back over it with the same shit, literally.
Oh.
There's videos on it. Watch it.
Oh dear.
Don't Google it at work though.
Can you hold down the fort for 1 second just while I check my lamb is still actually cooking?
Yeah. Go for it. Can you take some photos for us?
Yeah. How would I?
Can you live stream it?
Yeah, I was like, can I add myself to this? Can I add?
Why not?
Let me see what I can do.
Let me just read some comments while Justin's working out that. So from John Pickett. John, thanks for joining us again. It's a difficult sell at that level when people already have a phone camera. The tech that differentiates a phone to a camera means the camera will cost $1,500 plus at least. Yeah, it is interesting. And that's still something that camera brands don't seem to be able to master, like how to convert people from their smartphones to a digital camera. And that's where that whole sub $1,000 camera range came into its own, because people could see the benefit at a cheaper price than what Fuji's or Canons or whatever are currently costing. they could see an opportunity to actually get into photography with something that meant that they didn't have to be distracted by their phone by taking a photo and having notifications pop up and, you know, all sorts of stuff going on. But that market is just empty. And even sub 500, there used to be some cracking cameras sub 500, but they've all disappeared. And now you buy them at $50 and they're all crap and they last for one shoot and then they die, or there's something terribly wrong with the sensor. Or anyway, I'm rambling a little bit. But just while Justin has stepped out of the room to hopefully join us and show us his meat. Well, that came out so wrong. Just a reminder that this is the Camera Life podcast, brought to you by Lucky Straps. Head to luckystraps.com for a leather camera strap of your choosing, and you can customize them. You can add embossing, you can fill in the embossing with color foil, and it's all heat pressed, so it's there forever. But yeah, make sure you head to luckystraps.com, use code Greg for a 15% discount. And yeah, we'll get a strap out to you anywhere in the world. Oh, here's Justin. Let's add him to the stage. Oh, g'day, mate. Hang on. How do I make you?
Hello. Just press the buttons down the bottom. One of them will work. Try another one. Try another one.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
No, there's one that makes you... Yeah, now just drag me where you are. There we go.
Hey, look at he did it, folks.
Hang on. How do I turn myself around?
Oh, no. What have I done?
There we go. Okay. Oh.
So how many barbecues have you got, Justin? Let's just get a little quick scan.
It's not important. It's not important. Don't worry about that. There's more. It's just not out here. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. This won't look good because they're only... Oh, they're looking all right.
Oh, look at that.
So
look at
we're
that,
getting there.
folks.
Just need to check, make sure our temp... Been on for 3 hours.
Can you set a table for Stash and I and 6 kids?
And 6 kids. There's not that much land. Oh, lucky. I
What is
got
that
to add
bit?
some more. That's the charcoal. So it gravity feeds charcoal and wood. So I'm just going to have to... Hang on. I can do this. I'm just going to have to pop you down for a second while I put some more stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'll just put you guys there.
Nice. I think everyone's really looking forward to seeing your meat.
That's disgusting, Greg.
So what sort of fuel are you putting in there? You get to see how much of a nerd you really are.
Lump charcoal and red gum.
I can't believe you've got a gravity-fed smoker. That's impressive. Justin, meat man.
So yeah, that's what we do.
That's an impressive barbecue, gotta say.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's got a rotisserie attachment. I can do rotisserie chicken and stuff in there. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I gotta say, you're the man.
With my meat smoking equipment.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
Here, the Weber flat griddle. I love this thing. Makes me feel like I'm in a diner.
We've got to change this this podcast to Meat Fest or something. That'll get the views.
Cameras and meat.
Cameras and meat. Wow.
I don't know what's going to happen here, so I'm going back in. Oh, I'm switching off.
All right.
All right. How many live viewers did we lose there?
2. Does the smoker have a red dot? It did, one of them.
A Leica smoker. Costs 15 grand. It does less than your average smoker. But it's about the feel and the 3D pop, the micro contrast.
Yeah. Oh, Philip Johnson wants to know.
Does the barbecue fit in the van for beef op? Look, as much as I would love to, I think cooking for a large group of people would be stressful. And what happens if I give someone food poisoning? But yeah, that would be fun. Although the meat people that were there last year were pretty good.
That was amazing.
Yeah, so I'll be hanging out near them.
Yep. Okay. Well,
what else?
What is it? What else have we got? Did you want to talk about the OM3 quickly? We're going to leave that for Monday night.
Well, yeah, maybe we should do that on Monday night, actually. I don't know if we've got anyone coming on Monday.
No, it's just us.
Rodney says this is your life,
Justin. It is,
live
yeah.
my whole day.
Just a day in the life of Justin Castles, adorable idiot.
You want to see some other secret camera strap stuff?
Yes, please.
Got a few more rolls of this non-leather biothane webbing. Yeah, you've got a little sample one, don't you?
I do. I don't know where I put it. I think I threw it out. Oh, shit.
It's the closest thing to the feel of leather that I've found that's actually strong. And no, it's not vegan leather. It's called biothane. It's made in the USA. It's actually very cool. Looking at making some thin straps out of it. Some more, I guess, Fujifilm or Leica oriented straps.
Yep.
So
nice.
They're pretty cool too. Just playing around with stuff.
Yeah. I'd still like a thin leather strap for Fujifilm.
That's coming too.
And I know that's on the cards, so I won't hassle you about that anymore. I've already said my piece. I wrote a very long letter.
Stern letter to the boss.
Stern letter. Dear Mr. Castles, you know how much I love your products and brand. In fact, I work for you, but
I want a custom strap.
Yeah, I do. A bit cheeky.
Are you taking any photos at the moment? I know we talked about you took some with the OM3, but have you got anything?
I don't. I've been busy. You guys might have heard some drilling and banging in the background before. We're currently in the middle of updating our house, and I just haven't had time for much at all. In between podcasts and writing reviews and testing gear, I've got a bunch of tradespeople in the house, so Sasha and I are kind of sharing the project management of that. So it's a lot. To be fair, it's a lot. And one of the interesting things I find about this whole process is I have a sense of urgency. There it is now. And Sash has a sense of urgency, but no tradespeople have the same sense of urgency as us. Their priorities are very different. And so it's a long, so anyone that's renovated will know it's a long, slow, drawn out process. So everything takes twice as long.
Does winter also slow down your photography?
Yeah.
Normally in other years? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're a street photographer, is it just because it's less hospitable out on the streets? It's colder, you need to rug up more?
Yeah, and as I get older, it gets harder to get out. Like getting out of bed this morning, I said to Sash, she was up getting ready, and I was lying in bed and the dog was under the doona with me, and we were very toasty. I'm like, I don't want to get up. You got a podcast? No, I don't want to do the podcast.
Oh man, imagine if you'd been like, all right, I'm just staying in bed too. I'd just like, okay, no guest, no Greg, a solo show.
No, I'd still do it. I just wouldn't leave the room, wouldn't leave bed. You'd just see me peeking through the covers.
I don't think anyone would care. I don't think the chat would know.
I don't think they'd notice any difference from my usual effort.
Oh, I like this. Oi, some of us tradies have some urgency.
I didn't say you didn't have urgency. I just said your sense of urgency is different to ours. Ours is an expedited sense of urgency because we're a household of 8 people now. We've just inherited another one somehow. And, it's a busy household. And so having extra people in the house is stressful, and having rooms that were usually kind of free flowing and open filled with stuff because we've had to move stuff to make room for stuff to happen. It's a lot, it is a lot. So I'm certainly not criticizing tradies. I just said their sense of urgency is very different to ours.
Yeah. And also they're probably juggling how many jobs currently and all that sort of stuff. And it's all understandable. It's just, you get in your head that, I want to get this kitchen done, want to get it updated, and then we can enjoy it. And it's like, I just can't wait to enjoy it. And, everything's kind of, people don't reply to your emails. People don't get back to you. Anyway, we're not talking about photography anymore. So the short answer is no, I haven't. Lots of life priorities, and the weather hasn't been terribly good around here lately. What about you? Got anything on or have done or coming up apart from teaching Elena how to shoot? Yeah, shot a lot last week. And so I've got our New Zealand trip is coming up, and I'm not sure what role photography is going to play in that, because that at the moment is purely a holiday, I guess you would call it. Like it's just a trip. There's no photography work or anything involved. So everything from like what gear to take and how much time to dedicate to photography over there is all completely optional.
Do you think maybe it'd do you good to not take a camera and then come back? You can't do it, can you?
To New Zealand? To go heli skiing in New
That's
Zealand?
the challenge. Could you do it?
Nah.
I mean, I
absolutely could do it. I don't think I would enjoy it as much as, because I haven't, normally if I go to New Zealand, it's a lot of snowboarding. Whereas this time, because Yelena's injured, once she joins me, there's no snowboarding for a couple of weeks and we're just traveling around. I'm like, that's the perfect opportunity to actually do. I've never done a lot of photography in that kind of situation. It's either been photography for a client or it's been just as I'm doing other activities. Whereas this we could actually go on a hike to take a photo somewhere or whatever. We could go to locations specifically because they're a cool spot that we want to explore and take some photos. Yeah. So it's just a matter of using equipment.
What would you take then?
Bruce, that's what I've been thinking. Bruce is New Zealand is the best for casual landscape photography. I think I would take, I'm not sure if I'll take a film camera or not. That's the thing that's up in the air, because that's a fair bit of extra weight and stuff, but it could be really fun. I mean, if there had been a possibility to get an infrared converted camera before then, that might have been the push that I needed to get it happening, but it can't be done. Their wait's too long. So I didn't even ask. But, the way that she was talking, I was like, I don't want to put that pressure on. So it's just not an option. But I feel like that would have been really fun landscape-wise. But I think the R5 with my new selection of lightweight lenses is probably what I would go. So 20mm and the 50mm 1.4 primes, and then potentially the 28-70 zoom maybe. I think I would keep it pretty lean on that side of things. Maybe take the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 to try and make a few videos, POV shooting videos or something. If I feel don't think I'll put pressure on myself, but if I feel the desire to film a video. And other than that, I don't know. It would be optional on a film camera, and then whether or not I something for Yelena to shoot with. Maybe we can get our hands on one of those Canons, the V1 or something, to test for while we're over there. I should chat to them about that.
It wouldn't hurt. I mean, and if you've got it, then you can you can test it too, and you can review it. But so you don't think that when you went over to the States and you just took the Leica, you don't think that that's for you anymore?
Not on this trip, and possibly not on other trips too. I enjoyed that process. I also did that in Japan. I took on a snowboard trip, I took just the Leica in Japan, and it was fun, but it was so limited for casual. I took it out a couple of days snowboarding, and actually, you know what? I haven't looked through those photos much. Let me see. Japan. Jeez, listen to him go.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
It's okay. Here we go. Leica. You know what? We got time. You guys are here with us. Let's have a quick look at these photos that I took in Japan with the Q3. These are unedited JPEGs. I do have the RAWs, and I am going to edit them at some stage, but I just kind of never got around to it. Let's go. Because in my head, I didn't get a lot from that trip, and it was mainly a snowboard trip, but I thought the Leica would be great for documenting the journey as just a bit of a fun trip. And I think I didn't get what I wanted because of the limitations of the Q3, particularly with autofocus, for when I did take it out on the snow. it just felt like it struggled so much that it wasn't worth it, that I missed the shots. So this is just the sort of stuff that I shot while I was over there, just general swanning around. Like that's people waiting for the buses at Yuzawa, where we went first, and really just getting in the zone. This is literally, I haven't been through these, so I'm not going to go through every shot, but this is every shot I took. So if you're wondering why, there's a lot of average stuff in here. So this is, if we're out on the snow, this is the sort of stuff that I was getting. That's Matt, my friend. Us waiting for the bus. These cable ropeways in Japan are crazy. Have you ever seen any of this stuff? Like, obviously, this is just kind of like a normal ski lift, but like it's like a 40-person ropeway just to get you up to where the mountain starts, because they couldn't be a road or anything. Like, so this isn't a ski lift. This is just to take you from the road to where up here, where the base of the kind of ski area is. And they're just massive. Like, yeah, you would easily fit 40 people in that.
That's crazy.
It's so big. Yeah, it's very cool. And their signs are all just the greatest colors ever.
Oh, Japanese signage.
Yeah, how good is it?
I could make a photo book just on that.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, there was someone put out a photo book a few years ago, and it was all about Japanese taxis, because every Japanese taxi is owned by like a company, and they all had their own unique emblem, like logo for the brand.
Okay.
And every Japanese company car will either have it in the window, like as a lit up LED sign, or on the roof, like a little bubble, or on the even on the hood sometimes. And someone did a photo book of Japanese taxis, just documenting all these amazing little company logos as they appeared on the cars. Just that, and it was really compelling.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And it all just looks cold and miserable, Justin.
Yeah, well, us eating whatever it was, so there's hot coals in these little pots, and they put the grill over the top. We're looking for somewhere to eat. We couldn't find anywhere. Everywhere's booked out, and then we wedged ourselves into this place, and it was the best. That's a foot on
some of the best places I found in Japan were just little holes in the wall that obviously locals knew.
Have you ever seen these before? Foot onsens?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so everyone's just chilling, take their ski boots off or whatever, and just got their feet in the foot onsen.
Defrost.
So that's me. So I gave Matt the Leica, and yeah, again, it's like, he should have taken the photo when I was up, but shooting if I'd given him a Canon, he would have got 15 frames of that, it's a different thing, but trying to get some action like these, I missed most of those. This is Matt taking his shirt off because it was hot. What a goose. But yeah, got some of our scenic photos. Beautiful views.
Beautiful. Sorry, I was just going to say, look at that background is just majestic.
It's crazy. It's such a beautiful country. Are we going to go there this year?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Are you serious?
I'd like to. I don't know how I'll go with my getting my my pain medication into Japan, but we'll worry about that later.
Do they have laws on that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Dang it.
Yeah, they don't do THC and CBD products. So.
Oh no.
Anyway, we'll work something out. Sash is keen to go too, so we're kind of toying with how do we do it.
CP Plus is like first weekend of March.
Oh, okay. Well, that gives us some time to think and plan, doesn't it?
I would definitely like to do a bit of a snowboard / CP Plus / Tokyo street photography.
And while you and Yelena and Jim are off snowboarding, then Sash and I can do our own thing. We want to go to the Ghibli Museum and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, I think we could definitely figure out a bit of a trip.
We want to go anyway, and you guys want to go, and if we can wrap it up into a Lucky Straps field trip, then we could do a podcast from Japan.
Imagine, from a tiny little food place,
little izakaya. Yeah.
So what's insane is the Q3. I can crop in on this photo so close, and it's got epic resolution.
Lots of room to play.
very tricky to shoot action with. Just it really was tricky. This is probably one of the only decent shots I got. These are some people that we had lunch with.
It's cute.
Matt drinking beer. But yeah, so I probably got more of what I thought of the kind of the behind the scenes lifestyle stuff. This is one of the best parts at the bottom. There was like a craft, where was it? Yeah. This
like
place was craft beer. No, not a brewery. It's just like a little food shop that was selling craft beer. There's not a lot of craft beer around. And
I remember seeing those. I was in Tokyo in the summer, and it was brutally hot and brutally humid. Like it was breaking records for them kind of thing. And I remember going into a park and there were kids playing everywhere, and they had strung up all these demisters, like trying to cool people down. And then there was just this little shack in the middle of the park, and all they sold was beer and crushed ice with flavor on top.
Oh, that's cool. Like snow
Japanese,
cones.
Like snow cones, yeah. And beer, not craft beer, but just Japanese beer. But
Japanese beer,
everyone was just in the park. Kids were having a snow cone. All the parents just sitting around having a beer. Like it was so delightful,
so relaxed. Yeah, and that's what this was. So we bought these beers, and they were like, "You want some chairs?" Because the sun, as you can see here, like the sun's coming straight at where we were sitting. It was warm. There was no wind. The sun's still above the crest of the mountain up. Yeah. So it was like you just sit there and just enjoy a beer at the end of the day.
That's pretty cool.
And the reflection, these are the window reflections of the building. Wow. So the building is still catching some sun because the sun has just gone down over here, and the window reflections are just perfectly on the snow. It was quite fun. Yeah. Kids just chilling. But yeah, it was just kind of a document things trip. It's the hotel that we stayed in. Joined some other people for a bit of a snowboard tour.
Yep.
There's no shots of people's wangs or anything in this. I can't remember how crazy we got. Playing some pool. A sneaky shot. This is how we spent a lot of our nights because the hotel bar didn't open till 7, and you finish snowboarding. No. You finish snowboarding at like 4, and then everyone wants to have a beer after they snowboard. So it ended up being just these hallway parties. It was really cool. It was great. So I didn't take that shot. Someone did. Who did? Yeah. Anyway.
The waiter?
Because that's me out of focus. And that's the other problem with the Leica,
Yeah.
You hand it to someone to grab a photo, and it's just not that easy. This was one of our guides, Kai. Very, very cool dude. So I just think that I would have probably got better stuff. How cool is that?
Yeah.
With my Canon gear. As much as I really enjoyed what we did with the Q3.
So let's say you take the R5 with you to New Zealand. What lenses will you take?
I would take, seeing if there's anything else that we missed. When we finally got some snow. So food trucks in Niseko. This is where having like primes and stuff like that really came into their own to let light in. But that's what most of Japan. That's what I wanted to find for you, Greg. There was this at this food truck. So which one? This food truck here, the gyoza one. There was this mouse living under it that had built a tunnel system here and here and here, and it would just like wait for its moment, and then you would see it like pop out of a tunnel, grab a gyoza that someone had dropped, and then like run into another tunnel without stopping. And it had built like a network in the snow. It was amazing.
So cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. Anyway, that's about it. But yeah, so R5 Mark II, I would take the 20mm and the 50mm primes, and they're probably one zoom. And the only thing that makes me slightly concerned with that is like, should I be taking a long telephoto lens? But
it's so much to lug, isn't it?
Then it just starts becoming more to lug. But on the other hand, we are in a camper, so it's like, it can just sit in the camper if I don't have it in the bag.
I mean, if you're happy to have it and lug it, you know, with the airport in queues, waiting for a bus, all that stuff, then that's fine, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's all kind of what you want to get out of it.
Pretty lucky to be able to go to New Zealand, you know? There's so much bullshit going on in other parts of the world. We're lucky that we have these places that are still safe and pristine. And
Bruce, don't do this to me. Bruce says, I'm a big fan of the 100 to 400 New Zealand. 400 is what I use constantly in New Zealand. I have had on my shopping list for a long time the Canon 100 to 500 RF. And I haven't bought it because I haven't had a specific use for it. It's just something that I've always wanted. I've shot with it before. I've tested it. I know it's a great lens, but I haven't had like a particular sports job or anything like that where I'm like, this would be this. There's times when I could have used it, but I haven't had something that was coming up that I was like, oh, I really should buy that. I'm not sure. Like, would I use it in New Zealand? Would a 70 to 200 be enough? Should I borrow Grant's 70 to 200 f4 and just leave him with my 2.8 if he'll let me? And just because it's half the weight, the f4.
What about the 70 to 200 with a teleconverter? No, teleconverter.
Canon doesn't do.
Canon
doesn't do teleconverter compatibility on their 70 to 200 because of how compact it is. The rear element would hit the teleconverter as you zoom. They've really made it compact. But yeah,
it's a compromise, isn't it?
So, Bruce, Bruce, are you saying that I should buy the 100 to 500 prior to my New Zealand trip? Or 70 to 400 f4, 70 to 200 f4 would be fine for landscapes. 100 to 400. This is from our friend JS Hanny. Jason. 100 to 400 is a photography-centric trip, in my opinion. I'd waste far too much time on family travel trip if I took the full kit. Yeah. So,
competing advice.
There is competing advice.
Yeah. Hey, I hate to cut the party short, but our electrician has to turn the power off.
Well, that could cause a problem for the podcast.
It might not last long after that.
Yeah. Okay. So Bruce is still recommending 400 for the length. Okay. What does this podcast do to me? It's the most expensive podcast to host in the world. No podcast costs the host more than this one cost me. Thank you, everybody, for your help.
Thanks for your input.
You're all wonderful. And seriously, though, thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Sorry we didn't have a guest. Hopefully, poor James Day's feeling better, and we'll get him back on at some stage to talk everything wedding photography. But otherwise, you guys were awesome.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. We appreciate you.
Bruce says he can come on Monday and convince me. Can you actually come on Monday, Bruce? Do you have any shots from New Zealand that you could come on Monday and show us? Do we have anyone on Monday, Greg?
No, Monday's free, I think. Hang on, let me just check. Monday, which will be the 14th of July. No, we're guest free.
Guest free. You know what I should do? We'll see. We'll definitely see. If you can come on, Bruce, if you want to come on Monday and show us some of your New Zealand photos with a 100 to 400, try and convince me if I should buy one. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we'd love it.
And then I should also see if like Levin or someone's around and we could just talk New Zealand photography. Maybe.
Right.
We'll see. But if not, anything, Bruce, we'd love it. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. We better wrap this up.
Run.
So Greg can run. LTK, we'll have to get to this on another show. We'll chat about it. We'll chat about your project. Thanks, Philip. You're a legend. Bruce, you're a legend. David Mascaro, you're also a legend. Good to see you. This is the first comment for you today. Look up Des Gray, New Zealand. He's traveled the world with one camera and one lens. Great stuff. I'll write it down. Des Gray. And
we'll get it on.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Look, we do have to wrap. I'm terribly sorry. But without electricity, there's no podcast.
No, just me.
But this has been the Camera Life podcast. And if you're new to the channel, if you're new to watching us today, please make sure you give us a like. It helps out with the algorithms. Subscribe, tickle the bell so you get notified of what's coming up. We do 2 shows every week. We have a Thursday morning show, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Typically, we have a guest, but our guest fell ill last minute. So that's why we've just been rambling nonsense today. But important nonsense nonetheless. And then we also have a Monday evening show, which is the Camera Life Random Photography Show, where more like what you experienced today, we talk about current topics, news, reviews, all that sort of stuff that's going on in our industry. And that's at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you like and subscribe. And proudly brought to you by Lucky Straps. Head to luckystraps.com. Use code Greg. Get
Bruce
15% off.
Jim. Use code Jim. You can also use code Justin, Jim, or Greg, whoever you like the most, to get 15% off. If you do need a nice new leather camera strap, we can even personalize them. Do whatever you want. And with that, we better get Greg going, even though our friend Jason Hannigan says, I'm a Sparky. I'd find a way to keep you rolling, Greg.
Thanks, mate.
And with that, Rodney Nicholson says thumbs up. Ian Thompson says, have a good day, guys. Have a good day, Ian. And
thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us.